Hello, good afternoon, evening, or morning, depending on where you're from. I'm the Unholy Mole, obviously, Ahoy Apostates, and I have Peter, also known as Gonnagoforit. I'm going to interview him today. Would you like to introduce yourself, Peter?
Yes. Okay. So for people who haven't heard of me before, my name's Peter. I'm 56. I'm from Holland, and bumped into a video of Kent Hovind and decided to go on Twitter and later on YouTube because I practically just got jealous uh, with the atheist experience. I wanted to do stuff like that, so that was my reason to go on YouTube because the Matt is it. So basically, the unholy trinity is are my heroes when it comes to atheist activism, and obviously Matt Dillahunty is part of that. So that's
Well,
what made me go to YouTube and.
oh, okay, that's cool. So, all right, here would be my first question then. Who are your who are your top five atheists or atheist influences in your for you?
Okay, so as I said, the top three are uh, the unholy trinity. So Matt Dillahunty, Aaron Ra, and Seth Andrews.
Okay.
Um, that's where I started out with. Number four is actually my co-host,
Okay.
my co-host Karis, because I've learned so much from her because she's an ex-Christian, and we have the at least the option to talk a lot. So I'm getting insights that I otherwise never would have been able to get in this quality and this quantity. So she'd be at least. I think she might top at this moment the other ones because she's the one that I'm talking to most. And number four, Anthony Magnabusco.
Anthony, I like his street epistemology. It's pretty awesome. And
Yeah,
who's number five then?
Magnabusco.
Oh, okay. I thought you said he was your four. I apologize.
No, I had Unholy Trinity, the people that inspired me to go on YouTube. So Matt Dillahunty, Arn Ra, and Seth Andrews.
Okay.
Then Karis
Oh yeah, then
for
Karis, and then okay, I got you.
and Anthony.
Yeah, I'd have to say my top five are probably what actually got me back into the atheist community was when I was started watching YouTube was Armor Skeptic. That was pre-June, so that was back when his videos were much better. It seems like once he got a girlfriend, he got a little slacky. And of course, Logic, King Crocoduck. Them were probably the three YouTube and Godless Engineer. Them were probably the YouTubers that got me interested in atheism. But then of course there's the lovely Christopher Hitchens. I miss Christopher Hitchens. Then there's of course Richard Dawkins and David Dennett. I mean there's lots of them. I mean it's hard to put a number on all of them, but them are probably my top ones. Okay, now my next question would be: were you raised religious in any way?
Oh no, that's my biggest problem. I think in the work that I'm doing, and that's why Karis is that important to me because I was raised atheist in an entire atheist community, um, and just had some very brief and encounters. So there was a Catholic family living in the street where I lived, but I didn't see anything religious from them at all.
Right.
My first encounter would have been when a good friend of the family lost his wife, who was also Catholic, and so she got a Catholic burial. And that was a service that I attended, and that was my only encounter with religion in my entire youth.
Oh wow.
And then my first real experience with religion was when I was in the army, and my superior had his own brand of religion, and my suspicions still are that he did that for the money, because uh, there's a system here in Holland where if you donate, you get half back from the taxes that you've paid. So he was by donating his entire income to his religion, he was able to uh, get half back from what he paid in taxes. So it was a very lucrative way to get a little bit more money than he normally would have had.
Okay.
And as I said, from then, religion never played a part in my life whatsoever until I, by accident, stumbled upon a video of Kent Hovind and creationism. And
Yeah.
to me, that was fascinating, that we have people in this century that uh, still believe that kind of, at least I don't have another name for it, bullshit.
Yeah. That's pretty much
and
what it
and
is.
and I didn't know how big that actually was in the US.
Oh,
So that was
it's amazing.
fascinating.
It's amazing, and I can't remember the exact statistics, but I want to say it's like something like it's a high number. It's over 50% that actually believe that or that still identify as Christians, but like a really high number like identify as creationists. Like they think the world's 6,000, 7,000 years old. That kind of creeps me out. What got me kind of I was also like you. That's why it's hard for me to understand religion sometimes, just their point of view, because I was raised non-religious as well. I mean, my mother was a Catholic, but we were non-practicing, so like I didn't get it growing up. And then what actually got me pushed toward that was like my girlfriend is devoutly Christian. I think I've told you that before. And I just thought to myself, like how many people are still like this? That kind of boggled my mind. So
Mhm.
that's what kind of got me back in. I started watching YouTube, like you said. I found videos on atheism, and then I found the usuals: Godless Cranium, Godless Engineer, Vice Rhino, uh, Telltale Atheist. The bigger atheist YouTubes, Bionic Dance, people like that. So I guess my next question would be, who are some like I know all of us atheists do this. We watch Christian material just for something to debunk and to like pretty much be contemptful of. Who are some of the Christians you can't stand that are YouTube creators? I obviously know one of them. It starts with an S, so we know that's one of them. But who are some of the Christians you like? I guess hate watch would be the best word for it.
Oh, the one you just used, you just mentioned. Sorry, I'm still on the fence whether or not that's an actual real Christian. But
Oh yeah, Christian
um,
apologist. Yeah.
yeah, so but there's one that I absolutely can't stand, and I also don't watch him on YouTube because I get physically sick when I listen to him. That's William Lane Craig.
Yeah,
I can't
William.
I
Yeah.
cannot stand the guy.
He's definitely up there with my hated. I'd say my hated are probably um, Ken Ham, just because he has such reach and such a, I don't want to call it power, but he has reach. He definitely has reach because he has the money and he has the backing to spread his lies. And he's a science denier pretty much.
Yeah.
Then Steve Anderson's one because just he's the biggest bigoted asshole I've ever met in my entire life. Well, I've never met him, but I mean ever seen, I should say. Kent Hovind, I kind of feel more pity for him. He's just like a doofus, like He's like a small. I mean, he still spreads lies, but he's lost all credibility and all power after he got out of prison. You know, he lost his ministry. His
Mm,
kid ran off with his business.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I have to correct you on that because his following is growing and it is
it is growing.
growing fast. So the the that he went to prison, yeah, that was that harmed his cause. The fact that his family abandoned him, I think even more. But no, Godless Iron, we're not talking about poop yet. Man, he's okay. He he's going to be one of my favorites very soon because
Yeah, I like Dallas Island. He's awesome.
yeah, yeah. But so now I lost my train of thought. Okay, Kent Hovind, but he's getting traction again,
Yeah, his
he's
channel is
getting
taking off.
money. Money is coming in because he recently started his 777 club
Yeah, I've
where
seen
people
that. Yep.
people can donate once a month, and so he's getting more and more money, and the more money he'll get, uh,
The
he'll get
stronger he'll grow.
more.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to be more influential because now he's in a position where he can travel and pay for the expenses of the travel himself, and gain more traction, which will just bring him in more money. And so Steve Anderson and Ken Ham still both on the list of people I need to have on my channel because I have a distinguish I distinguish between hating someone and having a strong dislike. So Steven Anderson would be the one that would top the list of people I strongly dislike. Along with Ken Ham. Ken Ham is moving up fast as well.
Yeah.
But those are still people I would like to talk to because those are the people I'd like to pick their brain
Yeah.
and see what makes them tick and how honest they actually are, because I think a lot of the people who have a lot of influence, um, I think at least some of them are knowingly dishonest. Ray Comfort, I think,
Yeah,
is
I
one.
think you're right. Joel Osteen, people like him, people that like, especially mega. I think a lot of the, like the mega church preachers
Yeah.
are, they're most certainly dishonest,
Well,
and they know it.
a good insight, if people can get at it, a good insight to the mega churches and the people who are knowingly dishonest. I would point to a movie that was made in 1972, Marjo. This is a guy who was trained by his mother to become a preacher, and he started preaching, I think, at age 11 or something. So knowing that it wasn't all right what he said, but he was in there for the money and he made a lot of money. So if people want to have a nice insight, because this guy turned and gave it all up and
Right.
exposed what he did and how easy it is to get money from people. So that would be a good thing to watch.
Okay. Well, here that kind of leads me into another question. How many Christians do you think just stick with it because of tradition, and they don't really believe it?
So here in Holland, I think most of the remaining Christians are traditional Christians. The Catholic Church, people are leaving in droves because of the scandals that keep popping up, and and I think that's a good thing. I think you shouldn't support an organization that willingly shields pedophiles. Uh,
Right. Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
you can believe whatever you want, but then start a new church and make a statement that you're not going to support these people. So,
right, and
but
tithing's still a huge thing too, which blows
yeah,
my mind.
yeah. But when it comes to the U.S., I think there's another pressure issue because you may be ostracized if you leave the church, if you become an atheist. I've seen it happen, and I have counseled several people who are struggling with it. I'm even counseling someone who wasn't a believer, who already was an atheist, but is still presented with hostile actions from Christians whenever they find out that she's an atheist, and to the point where she needs professional help, help that I can give her. So I can be there, um, for the moments that professional help isn't available. But and that just makes me mad, because if children get punched in the face just because they don't believe in the God that the rest of the class is believing in, I think that's a horrible thing to do. We know kids can be cruel, but this will scar someone for life. So I was able to get her an atheist community. At least I was able to get her some friends in the area she lives in. And recently I was able to give her at least a tool so she could get professional secular help, because she had help, but the first thing, uh, this therapist, and I use that term very loosely. The first thing she said was, "You need Jesus in your life." So if your therapist says that, then please run.
Right, run. I had a doctor that it really upset me because I went to him and I asked the doctor, I'm like, when will it be okay for me to have sex again? And he actually asked me, "Are you married?" And I was like, and it threw me for a second. I'm like, "Am I married? What the fuck's he talking about?" And then he's like, "Well, because if you're not married, Jesus." And I'm like, "Oh, fucking hell no!" So I never went and seen that doctor again. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
just that's too much.
Well,
Um,
I solved that because I've never been married. I'm 100% sure that I'll never be married. So I do not engage in premarital sex. So I should be fine with the Bible, because I can't have premarital sex because there's not going to be a marriage.
hold on, I gotta respond to this comment in the comments. Pete Shea says most believers or most ballers are atheistic. The stupidest position one could ever take. We ourselves are a higher power.
Yeah,
So
I'd
yes,
love,
I
I'd
I
love to,
agree.
I'd love to talk to Pete. I've seen him pop up in several chats now. So, Pete, if you want to talk, I'd be happy to.
Yeah, I'd like to see you eat the Godless Island for breakfast there, old Pete. I think you'd be biting off more than you can chew. I don't mean you, Pete.
Yeah,
I mean him, Pete.
yeah, I know for a fact that that wouldn't happen, and that would go the other way around.
But okay, that threw me for a second. So what made you what made you just to enter? What decided? I know you like to interview theists more. I know you like to interview theists on your channel. Um, how do you actually get them to come on, because they're going to feel persecuted no matter what? And you don't. There's no holds barred with you. I've heard you talk to theists. You don't pull punches with them. How what got you into interviewing theists?
Yeah, as I said, I was jealous of the atheist experience. I wanted to do that because I sat here at the screen at some point, because I come from a completely different perspective, because I grew up an atheist. So I sat here screaming, and I thought, I want to do that. So what I did is I did a trial run with help of my mentor, because I do have a mentor on when I started, and still at times, which is Religulous on Twitter. If you don't follow him, please, please, please follow him, because he's amazing in his talk with believers in general. And so that's and he helped me go on, and I picked, I think, one that would other people wouldn't start with. That I picked a presuppositionalist, and I went on his radio show live, and I did 5.5 hours on his radio show over the period of a couple of weeks, until I got kicked off because I cornered him.
Okay, who are some of the theists you've interviewed that you've actually found to be pretty decent people? Are all of or any of them honest or honest with
No,
the,
no, there are decent. So there's a distinguish. You need to distinguish between honest and decent.
okay
And
the
I would also put in the category sincere, because I have talked to Christians who sincerely believe what they believe.
oh yeah, I have too.
And yeah, some of them turn out to be decent. So I made friends with a flat earther, believe it or not, and he recently contacted me again, and we're going to do another talk again, both in private and a public talk. Um, the last talk I did, and I need to do a shout out because I just saw it pop up in the chat. Demi Anti-Ordinary was a guest host on my last talk, where I think we had a pretty decent guy to talk to, and up to a point, I think very honest, because he admitted not knowing some of the answers of the questions that I had for him. And he said he would look it up. There's going to be a follow-up, and I think Demi will be at least in the follow-up as well, because the guy agreed to do more talks, and I want to put him up against a few other of my co-hosts. But yeah, Demi will certainly be in the one where he gets to ask us questions. So
Yeah, Demi's a
and
dog.
that was a decent guy. Then there's another one everyone hates on Twitter, and I at least can still have a decent conversation with him, which is Montlake Man. He's going to be back for more talks. So I don't hate people who have strong beliefs, and that's I changed my approach when I met Karis and learned more about it.
Right.
And Karis came up with the name of our show, Mind the Gap. And what we try to do is try and bridge that gap and try to reduce animosity, because if you cannot talk to someone who holds a strong belief, if you can't talk to those people, you're going to be enemies, and I don't think that'll work in the long run. We need to have a conversation, and we need to at least get to those people and show them that the animosity doesn't help. If you want to educate people, don't piss them off, pretty much.
Right. That's the thing me and Staggerson have been trying to do with flat earthers. Like, I mean, some of them are just beyond talking to. I mean, because they just want to scream at you and call you an idiot. And I'm not about that anymore. Obviously, some of them are intelligent, and some of them have well, they think they're valid reasons for believing what they believe. I don't understand. The questions I have for them is, show me your model that works, that would work with the laws of physics as they are now, which no one ever can. And why do you believe the things you? Why do you believe, or what is your evidence for making you believe what you believe? Them would be my two main questions for them. You know, for
Yeah,
flat earthers. I guess that this leads me into another question. What do you think's more annoying, young Earth creationists or flat earthers?
I have to say that I don't have a lot of experience talking to flat earthers because my main focus is on Christians in general and young Earth creationists in particular.
Right.
But
I don't.
it is interesting to see why someone would believe the Earth is flat. So I'm always up for hearing their arguments. And so Pete Chi is still in the chat, and he says he's looking for a link or something. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, I gave him a link to your channel, so if he wanted to check out your channel, he could. So
Yeah.
I put a link to your channel in the chat.
Yeah, and all my contact information is there. So if you want to have a talk, I'll make time for that, and you'll get a decent conversation if you will be decent to me. I will be decent to you.
Right. I
Because
mean,
that
it's only fair.
yeah.
So it's only fair. So so you started your channel because of the atheist experience? That's what made you decide you could do this too, and you wanted to take your get your ideas out there?
I wanted to see how I would do in a conversation because I have had a lot of conversations on Twitter and had when I started it. Um, and I wanted to see how I would do, and I wanted to see if I could actually convince people uh, that their beliefs weren't based on reality. And I always said that if I can change the mind of just one person, to me that would be payment in full. And so I've over time have had several people come to me now and tell me that they either started doubting or left the religion entirely because of what I did on Twitter and on YouTube. So I have been paid in full. That's the reason I don't have a Patreon. I'm already paid.
Yeah, that's sort of the same reason I started my channel was the same reason you started yours. I was watching these atheist videos, and I'm like, wow, I'm like, I want to do this. I have ideas, and I've always had, my theories, and I want to do something like that. But like, I mean, I finally found an editing program I can use. Thank goodness. So I should be having a video out within the next couple of days. I'm gonna try to do at least a video a week on top of my interviews of other atheists. But has atheism ever affected you negatively, or did it, or negatively impacted your life in any
No,
ways? No.
no. The fun part is I didn't start identifying as an atheist until I went on Twitter, because in Holland the label isn't used at all. So about 80% of Dutch people are atheists. So it's pretty much the standard. We don't have a use for that label because the people who stand out are the people who believe. So I always equate it with the same thing. You don't have a label for people who do not believe in Santa Claus.
Right, or the tooth fairy. I
Yeah.
tried explaining that to a Christian once. They're like, you just hate God. And I'm like, I don't hate God. I don't believe he exists. I'm like, do you hate the tooth fairy? They're like, well, no. I'm like, exactly. Like, because there's no evidence that the tooth fairy exists. So obviously you're not going to hate him for it. So I mean, I
Oh,
tried to explain it to them in that way, but I mean, I got as close as I could to explain it. I mean, for them to understand as I could. I mean, they still obviously don't understand. Oh, and
yeah.
Staggers and Jags, I do. Yeah, Pete, we Staggers and Jags, my buddy in there. He
Hmm.
also he does a Flat Earth Fight Club. So if you ever want to join that, Pete, you're always welcome, Peter. But I'm talking about Pete O'Shea or Pete Shea.
Yeah.
That if you want to talk flat Earth, there's the guy to get to. If Staggerson could put a stream or a link into the side chat, then you should definitely check out that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
For
And
sure.
and he'll be decent as well because
Yeah, yeah.
Stags recently called me off on his channel because I was maybe getting a little bit too heated, and he was right, by the way.
So
Uh,
have you read the Bible then, Peter? I mean, like you said, you were always raised an atheist, but once you got into
yeah,
it, did you read the Bible so you could better defend your arguments or have a better argument to put forward?
I read it twice a couple of years ago, and um I still read parts of it whenever things come up. So if someone raises a certain topic or points to particular verses or chapters, I will read those again to refresh my memory. So I'd say it's a weekly thing that I at least read parts of the Bible, because if you want to counter something, then at least you should have the knowledge and know what you're talking about. I hate people that use a straw man. So I'd like to be as accurate as I can be, because otherwise I wouldn't be attacking straw man. And that's also why I love the way uh, Anthony Magnabusco conducts his interviews, because um, he asks about everything. He doesn't necessarily interject anything. He just makes people think about their position, and I think that's maybe the best tool that we have.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
have.
maybe team that up with RJ Downard's main point. Uh, Let people provide the sources they have and find out if they even have sources. And sometimes that makes them think as well, because if they don't have a source, uh, then they might start thinking of it. And yeah, Godless Iowan. Uh, I did maneuver myself in a very awkward position there.
Yeah.
Attacking. Well, so okay, every rule has its exceptions. So I think Godless Iowan might be the only strawman that I approve of, unless he's starting to talk about poop and penis soup. That's not exactly my thing.
So, what direction would you like to take your channel in? Is there anything you would like to do that you aren't doing now?
Yeah, we're working on I think a fairly big change, because a lot of people want to come on our channel, but a lot of them are atheists, and I'm the reason for our channel, what started out as my channel and is now our channel, is to talk with theists. So basically, um, the main thing that the atheist experience does as well. Uh, it can also be very interesting talking to atheists. I mean, we had Aaron Ra on. Uh, Seth Andrews is going to come on. We had Anthony Magnabusco on. So there are a lot of atheists I like to talk to as well. So we're creating a new show that'll be about atheists. Mind the Gap will be strictly talking to theists or maybe flat earthers. And then we're going to come up with a third show that's going to be a topical show. So we'll pick topics and go and flesh that out. And Karis is about to finish the first one. She had a pet peeve she wanted to talk about, and so that'll be the first topical show. And then we'll have three things, and we're still in the process. We want to start a new channel where I'll be teaming up with Artemis Brain Sample and Karis, and that's going to be pretty much satire and comedy.
That'll definitely be cool with Artie. That'll be funny. Yeah, if you, I wouldn't mind joining you on that if you ever wanted me to do a skit or something. I've always enjoyed comedy.
Well, what we're going to attack one particular organization, an organization that frequently mentions P.Z. Myers and Aaron Ra, and I'm hoping to get them in on it as well, and so do comedy responses to that, or even exaggerate the straw man that those people are presenting. So, and we might be open to having other people pitching in as well. So we're still thinking about how we're going to put this together. We will need a studio. The studio for Mind the Gap is already finished. That's I did that. So we're going to need a studio for the new channel as well. Because we're taking on this particular organization, we're going to make them look like complete fools by making a spoof version of what they do.
That'd be cool. I was just gonna answer someone in the chat. Who was it? Oh yeah, Straight Sith Male says all cats are Nazis. I said cats may be. They're at least assholes. And if the Earth was flat, they would have knocked everything off the planet by now anyway. So
yeah,
you know that for sure. So so who you got coming up next that you're looking forward to interviewing, theist wise?
I have a couple of people, but so the problem for me is I need to wait until they have the time. So I've several theists already lined up who want to come on. One of them has appeared on the Atheist Experience, I think 3 or 4 times already, and still doesn't get that God is in favor of slavery. So we're going to try and at least address that. But I also want to know what else drives him. As I said, the guy we recently had on is a guy who is from Charis Bible College, which was the reason that I actually contacted him, because he's on the Bible College that has the same name as my co-host, and I thought that was extremely funny. But he's also trying to get me in touch with a few other people. So his pastor is a faith healer and is someone I want to talk to. Several of his friends watched the conversation that we had with him and also want to have a conversation, but I'm still waiting for those to contact me.
Cool.
And the guy was a protege of Ted Haggard for 15 years. So I truly hope that he can get me in touch with Ted Haggard, because his parents are still close friends with the Haggard family. And that would be someone I really want to have a conversation with.
Yeah. While we're talking about faith healers, they have to be the lowest of the low. Anybody that in religions that refuse medical help or let their children refuse medical help, they have to be, in my opinion, the lowest of the low.
Yeah, and the fun thing is, when we talked to this guy, he said God gave him healing powers as well. So I know where you're coming from. If you're saying they're the lowest of the low, I would definitely put people like Peter Popoff in that category. But there are also people who are just convinced by their church or by their religion that they actually have these powers, and so it's not as black and white as you might think.
Yeah.
Some of them might actually think that they have healing powers, and every little coincidence will feed into that. So we didn't go into that. Demi and I didn't go into that in the talk that we had, but I will definitely want to have a talk with this guy about this, because as you said, and I fully agree, I think it's dangerous if people think that God can heal illnesses and you are one of the chosen ones to perform healing. I mean, the mere fact that you will offer this to people will make them not seek professional medical help, and that's a danger we need to counter.
Yeah, it definitely is. So I forgot what my next. I had a question for you, but then the chat got me. So, this Mr. Shea said that dodo birds never existed. That's kind of ridiculous considering there's actually paintings of them. So
Actually, there are stuffed dodo birds, and another fun fact is that the Dutch made them go extinct. My people did that.
hooray for the Netherlands. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah. So, yeah, the dodos did exist.
I was listening to someone the other day. I can't remember who it was, but I really liked what they had to say about how it was Dr. Richard Carrier. That's who it was. And he was on Doc Hackenslash's channel. And if you don't know who Doc Hackens, I'm sure everybody in here knows who Doc Hackenslash is. But
yeah,
Richard Carey was on there, and I was amazed how down to earth he is. He seems like such a cool guy. He has a PhD in ancient history and all that stuff. And he was talking, and the question was somewhere along the lines of, even though you have a PhD, are you willing to, you're so willing to talk to people of lower educational value or level than you? And he said, just because I have a PhD in something doesn't mean that I'm smarter than everybody about everything. And he said, regardless of your education level, that doesn't mean you're not intelligent. And I thought that was a wonderful way to look at things. I mean, my education level isn't as high as I would like it to be, but that's because I made bad choices as a teenager. And by the time I had made up my mind to straighten my life up, I was pushing 40. I mean, yeah, not to say that that's too late to do anything, but I mean, it would have been a lot more practical if I would have started my studies at the age of 18 rather than at 40 years old. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would fully agree, and I'm going to make someone mad in the side chat. Anti-ordinary Demi didn't have the best of educations, but she is an extremely intelligent woman.
Very.
And she does a lot of work to get her education now she can. And I would say that she's a lot more intelligent than I am, a lot smarter than I am. So yeah, it doesn't mean if you didn't have a good education for whatever reason, because the reasons can differ. It may not be your fault that you didn't get a good education. Life may have gotten in the way. It did with me. But yeah, there are several very smart people. Um, for instance, take Aaron Ra. He doesn't have a PhD, but he knows more about paleontology and the cladistic system than several PhD I've come across in the period that I'm on Twitter and YouTube. So yeah, saying that you have a PhD to me means absolutely nothing. It means that you have a certain field that you specialized in, and you got a paper saying, okay, you know a little bit about this. Well, great. There might be people who are a lot better than you who don't have a PhD just because they lack the money to get a PhD.
Right. Or yeah, or other factors may have stopped them from going to school.
Yeah.
Money would probably be a big one, but I mean, intelligence isn't education. There's a big difference. The only thing in my opinion, the only thing that high IQ means is that you're able to learn faster and retain knowledge better. That's that's what makes high IQ people. I mean, and the ability for abstract. I mean, we can all abstractly think, but I'm just saying, like genius level IQ people can, do thought experiments and stuff like that. It just seems to come naturally to them.
Mm-hmm. I have to make myself not look at the side chat because
yeah. Does anybody from the side chat have any questions for Peter?
a lot of them are focused around Pete without an R, but yeah. So yeah, if there are questions, just pitch your questions.
The positions I'm taking are ridiculous. What? Atheism's ridiculous? What? A flat Earth's ridiculous? That doesn't. I'm still not being a dick about it. I'm just stating my opinions on what I believe or disbelieve. So if I would being a dick to you, then okay.
I would like to know why he thinks it's ridiculous. That's the portion that I'm interested in. No, I missed something. Anti-ordinary, you want to take my virginity? We'll talk this week. We'll see what that's all about.
Okay, here's a question for you, Peter. I guess Mr. Pete asks, how does he know the Earth moves beneath him? That's a pretty easy question there, Peter. Any one of us can answer that. We know the Earth moves beneath us because the sun rises and sets.
Yeah.
Is that enough for you? The seasons is another one. The stars are rotating in a circular fashion. If you set up a camera to time lapse the sky, you would notice it's a circular motion, which means the Earth is rotating. Is there any other? Do you need any more answers or what?
Yeah, I think you will interpret that as everything else moving and the Earth being stationary, which would mean that some of the planets in our solar system have a very neat trajectory how they move. Even the sun, because it won't only go around our flat Earth, but it'll wobble and it'll have a skirt. So might be some kind of a sexy sun if it's a short skirt. I still don't know how that worked. And for the time that I've been talking to flat earthers, not one has explained to me how a lunar eclipse works. So I really want to talk to this guy because maybe he has answers I haven't heard before. And maybe he can answer questions that haven't been answered so far.
Well, we're almost to about an hour. I'm getting to probably. I mean, your questions are a little different than the ones I normally ask because you were raised an atheist the same way I was. So there's some questions that I just can't ask you. Like what was it like growing up, religious, and what made you change your mind, and stuff like that. So if anybody would like to do if Stags is still around, or anybody, Wonder Lady, Anti-Ordinary, anybody, if you all would like to have a little flat Earth fight club here, maybe we could talk a little science if you guys are interested.
Yeah, we can invite Pete Shea if he wants to. Or is that a bad idea?
I don't mind. I mean, anybody that wants to join, we could do like an after show maybe, or just do like a little miniature flat Earth fight club. Sure, Stephen, you're more than welcome to come in.
Yeah, we would need to figure out if Pete wants to join, where we can send him the link.
Yeah. Do you have a Twitter, Pete Shea?
I'm not sure if he's even still listening. He could be completely caught up in the side chat. We'll see. I put it in the side. I put the question in the side chat, so you might see that. Anti-Ordinary, are you sure you're not a flat earther? Are you really, really short? Send it to your YouTube messages. Okay, I'm not sure if that always works, but
you go ahead and send him a link, and I'll send a couple other people.
Do you want it in this stream, or you want to?
Yeah. Do you want it? We I guess we could do it in the stream. Do we have to start a whole new stream?
It's your channel.
Yeah, we might as well.
It's your party. I mean, if you want to do this.
Yeah, we've already got we can just invite a few people. Go ahead and invite old Peter Shea. Anybody that wants a link, please put a 1 in the chat, and I will send you a link on Twitter.
Let's see. Now I need to figure out where to send that link in messages.
I can't remember do I follow Stephen on Twitter? Can't remember. I'm pretty sure I do.
I don't. Is Stephen on Twitter? I don't know.
I think he has a. I'm pretty sure he has a. I mean, that's Stephen from Side Strike's channel, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of Stephen Baumans. What does your avatar look like?
Oh, PJ, I just sent you a link in messages on YouTube, so you should be able to join.
It's a black cat, you say, Stephen? Okay, I'll look. Okay, it's 2 eggs. That helps.
Oh, PJ asked if I could send it to his email address. So just opening up my my email account. I'll send you the link there as well. Now I need to go back and find the link to join. Copy. That's not
night, Debbie.
Right. Is Demi taking off?
Yeah, I think she's going night. It's 10:30.
Oh, Pete Shea's already here. Hey, Pete.
Hello,
Hey.
Pete.
Hey, how you doing?
We're good. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, not too bad. Nice to speak to you.
Okay.
You,
so do a brief introduction. Where are you from?
I have my own channel. I do my own hangouts, so some people will be familiar with me. I'm in Ireland, Limerick City, on the west coast of Ireland, so on the flat Earth, where Australia, which is supposed to be the other side of the world, is not beneath my feet. It's over across yonder. Pretty much flat earther since 2013, and realize that once you get to flat Earth, so much more beyond to realize and to know, you know. So yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at.
So what convinced someone has the stream running? I think it's you, Pete.
I think I muted it. I don't think it's me.
Okay,
Yeah,
I can hear myself talking, so I'm not sure.
Not me. It's not me because I have the stream muted. So
okay, might be Molly because Amol, because he just muted himself.
Molly.
And now it's gone. So so what convinced you? What did you find that convinced you that the Earth is flat?
It's a long process, right? This is what our lives are, just a gradual process of awakening. And fundamentally, I mean, I could turn the question back on you, and I could even ask and answer that question of myself. What convinced me that the Earth was a spinning ball of given dimensions and given velocities? Well, when I started to question what convinced me that was indeed the case, I found out that there were very few solid reasons for holding to that position. And when you look deeper into it, there are no reasons whatsoever to hold to that position. And this is the point about where we're coming from, what we describe as normal when we're entering any investigation. In any true scientific investigation, you clear your mind of any biases, any preconceived notions or ideas. And what everyone should be trying to do is to disprove every theory at every step of the way. And when you fail to do that, then that just adds more strength to the theory that you hold at present. You know, always aware that it's capable of being altered at the drop of a hat. You know, we can change our minds about anything in the next minute. It just depends.
Yeah, I like it that you're telling an entire story that how it can happen, but what you're still avoiding is what actually convinced you that the Earth is flat.
Yeah, it's very easy, as I say, to this is what we experience directly. When I asked you the question in chat about what has proven to you that the Earth beneath your feet is moving? Well, I know the only answer can be pointed towards the sky, the luminaries in the sky. So if they appear to be moving, it's either them or us, or else it's both of us. You know. And when you look for any proof or evidence of us moving, there's no evidence whatsoever. Nothing. There is no experiments, no scientific papers proving, without a shadow of a doubt, that proof should be.
Actually, there are, but I'm a lot more interested in what you think and what. So why do you think that every pilot, when he plans a flight, plans it on a globe and not on a flat Earth model? And why is it that planes fly on that route, which would be completely different if the Earth is flat? Why do you think that is?
Well, you can't say these things with any degree of certainty, right? I mean, if there is a deception of
I can't say this because my cousin is a commercial airline pilot,
right, but you
and
don't know.
he explained to me how flights are planned and how the curvature of the Earth needs to be taken into consideration, because you need to know if you can get there with the fuel that you have. For instance, a tiny little thing. We have direct flights from Australia to South Africa. If the flat Earth model would be correct, the plane wouldn't be able to make that distance. It would have to refuel, and they don't. How do you explain this?
Okay. First of all, you have no way of clarifying what the exact layout of the flat Earth is. You talk about a model being presented, but there is no fixed model presented. There is no unified group.
Which is the first problem.
Right. Okay.
Why do you think that is?
There's a suspicion here that, and there's a heavy suspicion, and indeed there's lots of proof that we have been lied to about everything, right? So there's an investigation undergoing. Now there's no
Define investigation.
Okay, hang on. Yeah, okay. So we're aware that there's a possibility here of this fraud or this deception on a mass scale. Now you have to admit, if it was true, right, you want to know about it, right? So if someone is lying to me about the Earth as its true shape and nature, then they're lying to my children, they're lying to your children, lying to everybody. But all the people who are supposed to be lying to us are supposed to be serving us, right? So this is the sort of hierarchy we need to get correct in the first place. So this is an investigation. There is no flat Earth model. You're probably talking to the guy who knows where to find the flat Earth map. But that's
can I ask a question about what you just said? You said there's a conspiracy that keeps you from knowing that the Earth is actually flat. So
what this is?
Hold on, Demi, just a second. So you are aware that a lot of the countries on the world are in deep conflict with each other, correct?
No, bullshit, nonsense.
Okay, so hold on. So you think that there aren't any wars, there aren't countries, so the Russians and the Americans aren't actually the best of friends? I mean, if there would have been a conspiracy, that means that every scientist in the entire world, every airline pilot in the entire world would be in on this conspiracy. And so what I would like to know is, what is the reason and why are they sticking to it? Because they could make tons of money if they come out.
Okay, let me give you a scenario. So you asked me what is the reason, what could be the reason, for instance, and you'll have to admit you don't know everything. You're not privy to the inside information.
I'm not making a claim. I'm not making a claim there's a conspiracy.
Okay, let me answer, please. So my answer would be that whatever the reason may be, you yourself are not privy to it. So there could be a very valid and genuine reason why
that's why I asked.
At such a mass level would continue, right? For instance, imagine you were taken aside and you were told the true nature of the Earth, the flat Earth, and the greater story that's unfolding for mankind. And then you're asked, will you play your part in this greater theater as the truth unravels? This is what we're going through now. If flat Earth,
what I don't get is if you can hold on, Pete, hold on. If you could convince me the Earth is flat, it would have no impact on my life whatsoever. I would acknowledge it if you have the good evidence, but I wouldn't have a reason to stick to the globe Earth. I asked you, why is there a conspiracy? What's the goal of the conspiracy? Why are people hiding the fact that the Earth is flat? What's the reason?
Listen, I could give you my personal point of view, and I'm on a pathway.
I don't care about your personal.
Hang on.
You made a claim.
After I get half a sentence out, hang on, please. This is not a yes/no type of answer here. This is the story of our life. Now, you just said that if you found out that the Earth was flat, it wouldn't make any difference to your life. So what about all the lies you've been told then from the day you came into this Earth? You don't care about that?
You need to demonstrate that those are lies firstly.
Yes.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
I'm not aware. I'm not aware of. I'm not aware of any lies.
Okay,
I don't know what you're talking about, and you don't either, because you.
Listen, man. You said that you wouldn't care. It wouldn't make one difference to you if you found out that the Earth was flat. Did you say that? Yes.
Yeah, I did say that.
No, I'm talking to somebody who doesn't care that they've been lied to all their lives. Their parents have been lied to. Their loved ones have been lied to. Their children will be lied to.
Hypothetically
lied to about.
Hypothetically lied to.
Of course, yes, but he said it. He made the hypothetical, not me.
I said.
I just want to ask this question, Peter. Let me ask the question now, because I've been trying to.
Go ahead.
I have two questions. One, do you understand the true implications of the amount of dedication it would take to cover this conspiracy up?
Okay, one at a time. Okay, absolutely, I do, yes.
So in your mind, what would be required to pull off this conspiracy?
I mean, this is like meeting someone for the first time, right? And you want them to sum up their whole position in a very short amount of time. It's a very difficult thing to do.
Okay.
Let me tell you where I'm at. So in the briefest possible terms. So if you don't interrupt me for about 30 seconds, this is where I'm at in terms of my investigation. We live on a flat and a stationary Earth, which is self-evident, right? But that's only the beginning to the story. The whole of our existence, in terms of this system we're under, and it's a broken system, came into being 420 years ago. Everything before that is fake history, right? So we are living in this realm, and what's happening is a greater story is unfolding, and we are becoming awake. We live in a world of opposites. So rather than the cold, infinitely in space and time, depthful universe, we are at the center of things that will change our view of ourselves, life, the universe, and everything. And this is what we're trying to now. The final.
What's your evidence for the history being fake until
420 years?
420. And funny enough,
it sounds like a weed joke.
Hang on. Funny enough, the dodo was said to be discovered 420 years ago this year. Now, if you think about the dodo and its whole story, I think it was Peter who said earlier on, well, we have paintings of it, and us.
We have stuffed dodos. We have dodo skeletons.
I have a stuffed teddy bear. I mean, I have a stuffed unicorn in my bathroom. Well, I don't, but I mean, you know what I mean?
You don't have the skeletal remains of a unicorn in your bathroom, though.
No. If you can produce a unicorn, I'll believe you. If you can produce a skeleton, I believe you. But in Dutch museums, we do have a stuffed dodo and we have skeletons, and we can go look. And we can go see them. You can't touch them, obviously, because if everyone would touch them.
How much do you know about this, Peter? Because I know about the dodo more than anyone.
Because we hold on. I'll tell you why. Because we had a famous writer in Holland who was absolutely mesmerized with the dodo and did all kinds of he wrote books on it. He did TV documentaries on it. But
he knows.
It's in the museum. But what you just did is derail the conversation from the flat Earth to the dodo.
No, I did not.
Hold on.
Excuse me, I did not. You accused me of something I did not do. You just don't understand the significance of
Hold on. We were talking about flat Earth. Then you went to fake history. From fake history, you went to the
right. I answered someone else's question. I tried to do it in a brief term. I can expand on anything I say.
Okay. Faye, right.
Let me say about the dodo. Fundamentally, what the dodo represents is the changing face.
I don't want to talk about the dodo. Faye, you have the podium.
Let me say about the dodo what it is briefly. The bird never existed, and what the dodo represents is the changing face of the flat Earth.
Has nothing to do
with
the flat
Peter,
Earth,
what's wrong with you? Have you no manners? You're not brought up with any manners in the Netherlands.
We're talking about a flat Earth.
We're not talking about a dodo, and I'm about to get to the fucking point. For goodness sake. The dodo represents the flat Earth map.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Okay, let's all breathe.
So again, 10 seconds into my sentence.
breathe. Let's calm down and let Faye, Wonder Lady, ask a question, and hopefully they'll cool people down.
Faye,
let me finish this part, please.
No,
I'm speaking, please. So I'm going to keep speaking for about 20 seconds just to let finish my point.
Faye,
let him speak, Peter. Just let him finish.
Let him finish, Peter, and then I'll take my
dodo. All I have to say is 20 seconds worth. The dodo represents the changing face of the flat Earth post inundation. The Gleason's map, which is presented as the flat Earth map, when you turn it around, so Australia's at the bottom, a bird pops out at you. That bird is the dodo. So that's the flat Earth connection. I'm done.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
That is a solid connection if I've ever heard of one.
Hang on, you don't know where I'm at. You're only hearing an idea for the first time.
I don't know where you're at, but I know where the whole of scientific history is at. Carry on, Faye.
Right. You must have a big brain.
Faye, you have the podium.
Off you go.
Go ahead.
Okay, PJ, I have no idea why you picked a mascot for your little worldview, but there's so much about you that screams I'm a troll or I'm a poe. Why should I take you seriously at all? And by the way, you owe me an apology for calling me Wonder Bra, okay?
Well, I mean,
cunt.
America, what is it with Americans and cuss words? They can't say cunt or bollocks. They're going can't.
No, I can't take
bollocks.
cunt and bollocks, and I can
You can't.
Cunt, that's bollocks, and I'm an American.
No, that doesn't sound right even. It's cunt or bollocks.
Oh,
you say can't or bollocks.
You ain't talking Texas right, so there you go.
Anyway, Wonder Bra, you talked about skull fucking the dodo.
Bra,
I thought I was dealing with a tranny or something. That's not the type of
no, that's me.
language
That's
you get from a lady.
What's wrong with that?
Hold on.
Whoa,
I muted you, Pete.
What the actual fuck?
This is your first official warning. If you start to name calling, if you use that word just one single time, you'll be kicked.
Which word?
You're not calling Faye Wonderbra. Not once again.
Okay, that's a joke.
No, it's not a joke. It's an insult.
I asked you for an apology.
Oh well,
and you will now either apologize or
if I offended you,
if I am going to take you seriously, would you like me?
Okay. Listen, that was a complete joke. So if I offended you, I do apologize. No offense meant, honestly.
That was a good apology, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's true. That's just funny, like Wonder Bra. I think just in light of the conversation we were having in chat. I mean,
no, it was a misogynistic way of pointing out she's a woman.
I thought Peter was going to warn me from saying the word cunt or skullfuck or something, but it's Wonder Bra. Okay, I'm fine with that.
I'd rather hear cunt or skullfuck.
Okay. No problem. I mean, will I call you, what is it, Wonder Lady? So do you want me to call you Faye? Is that?
You can call me Faye.
Excellent. Okay. Pete is good. Or Shay. Or Dodo, je suis Dodo. Listen, let me just tell you, there's a whole different story to the dodo.
Question, dear.
Okay, yeah, that's all.
Do you think that animals go extinct, or did you just pick one to like?
Look,
doubt?
There's a whole massive story to the dodo. Dodo, in terms of its sound.
There's really not a massive story other than the fact that.
Well, Faye, I have 100 hangers.
Can I ask a question? Can we please get back to topic, which is flat Earth? Because I'm completely uninterested in the history of the dodo.
No,
I couldn't care less because the dodo has no.
Peter, I'm trying to make a point, and if you are allowed to make your points, I'm allowed to make mine.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Back the fuck down.
I like it.
Woo!
Nice one.
Go ahead, Pete. Do you believe that extinctions happen? And don't give me any. I'm going to tell you the history of the dodo because I'm not interested in that.
Okay.
You already had your 20 seconds. Thanks.
Okay. Everything I say is flat Earth related.
Spicy in this bitch.
Well, hang on. Everything I say is flat Earth related, right? But let me just say to people who don't know me from Adam.
Answer my fucking question.
I will. I'm just saying I have I have 100 hangouts, and each of them are like 5-6 hours in length. So I've talked about this stuff at length. There's a big story unfolding here. But yes, of course, I do believe animals go extinct. But the dodo in relation to flat Earth, there are definitive and definite connections there. It's a different story beneath the surface. And this is what's there.
And have you talked to a therapist about this?
Well, I mean, listen, are you telling me that there's no secrets passed on via fictional stories, fictional fabrications? I mean, this is crazy to think that this is not the case.
No one says that, Pete. What we're asking for is your evidence. And every single time we ask you for evidence, you move on to a different topic. That's why I want to get back to flat Earth, because that was a topic that you desperately want to avoid and want to talk about history being fake and the dodo never having.
What do you want to talk about then? Right?
In a flat Earth, how does satellite tracking and satellite communication work?
Good question.
Yeah.
How does satellite communication work in your idea of a flat Earth?
Well, I mean, the information is publicly out there in terms of NASA and their helium balloon use, and they're the biggest consumers of helium on Earth. So, I mean, to think that these things can't be fabricated. Satellites are science fiction. If the globe Earth is proven not to be true, satellites obviously can't orbit.
So you are not aware that you can actually see them? I'm just asking.
Hang on, you're not
aware that you can.
Hang on, you're going from the position that these things are true on a globe Earth, and you're asking me to
see them.
This assumption in the first place.
You can see them with a telescope. How do they stay up? Because there are no balloons attached to them. You can see them by telescope.
You can see something by telescope.
Now, they literally have cameras powerful enough to zoom in on a satellite now. You can look at the satellite and tell that unless there's some kind of staged equipment out in space holding it in place, the satellite is in orbit.
Post a picture, please. We have access to cameras of amazing abilities these days, P900 and beyond. So please post a picture of someone with a P900 or someone with a telescope.
No, I never gave you
in great detail a satellite.
I never gave you a specific camera. I just said there are cameras.
Post a picture.
I will. I will. It's not a hard picture you're requesting. Post a picture of a flat Earth, darling.
Yes.
Yeah. So hang on. You made a claim here.
Sorry, it didn't happen.
Isn't that?
I never made a claim. I made a statement. No, I didn't.
Demi, let's make this very easy for him. Let him post a picture of the edge. I'll take a picture of the edge.
This is very childish of you. I mean, do you think?
No, it's not very childish. We have pictures of a ball Earth. It would be very easy for you to have a picture of a flat Earth, wouldn't it?
You have pictures of a ball that are clearly fabricated, first of all, right, and meant to be seen through easily.
We have a live video. We have a live video feed of the ball.
You're acting as if there's no controversy here, as if you haven't watched some of the other contributors pointing out the myriad of problems. What's wrong with that?
Those people are charlatans disguised as scientists.
Have you children, any of you? Do you teach your children to be skeptical?
People on YouTube trying to pass off a myth that we have known for hundreds upon hundreds of years before we were even technologically advanced. We have known that the Earth is flat. Explain to me how the Earth shines a circular shadow on a moon. Explain to me why every other planetary body we observe also happens to be spherical. Explain to me physics. There are so many aspects of our science that
I will do it in one word. I will do it all in one word for you.
Conspiracy.
Demi, the first question I asked,
I'll do it all in one word
him, Pete, be silent. Demi, the first question I asked him is what convinced you? What happened then was a complete derailment of the conversation to get from the evidence that
it sounds like
supposedly convinced him. And he keeps talking over people.
There's one guy here
talking over people. Okay. If you keep talking over people, this will happen. Demi, he doesn't have any evidence.
It sounds like he was convinced by conspiracy YouTubers, and it's who a lot of people are convinced.
Hang on, please. Don't be muting me, please, because you're wronging.
If you talk over people on YouTube.
Yeah, but you're wronging me.
Until Mole gets back, I'll take control. If you talk over people, I'll mute you.
Don't be wronging me then. When you wrong someone, you should expect to be interrupted.
I was talking to Demi, and if I'm talking to Demi, you need to be silent.
I was listening.
This is not Gestapo Germany, right, Peter?
Let's give him a chance to answer. If we ask him a question, let's give him a chance.
Yeah, thank you, man. And remember, I'm up against 5 or 6 people here, right?
Well, I want to make this a civil conversation. I don't want this to turn into debauchery and insanity.
Me too.
Okay, I have Mo. I have a tip. Hold on, Mo. I have a tip. If everyone mutes themselves, and the moment they want to speak, unmute themselves, and you, Mo, address the people and say, "It's your turn. You talk."
Yeah, that's a good idea. And
that works perfect if you have a lot of people in the conversation like this.
And let's also listen to the response, whether you want to respond or not. If you want to respond, say, I have a response for that, and I will let you respond. Okay. So does anybody have a question for Pete that they would like to ask him?
Well, let me answer Peter's question initially. This is what I was getting back to. When we think in terms of our senses, right, it appears that we are motionless and we live on a flat plane, right? So everything always stems from the senses. When you take it from that initial point, there is no proof anywhere to show that the earth beneath our feet is moving, one iota. So this is a starting point. We want the truth here. Right? We know there's the possibility of deception in our lives, so we want the truth. This is where I'm coming from, and this is where each and every one of us should be coming from.
So I'll respond to that. Okay. So how are you going about to find out whether what you perceive is true, or whether there might be another explanation for what you perceive? What's your method?
Okay, critical thinking, right? This flat Earth paradigm here has been handed to us on a plate, right? Everyone in flat Earth investigation has been, especially the top flat Earth people, have been put in place, and the general masses are being said and led as well. Remember, there's no sort of a distinction. Even if you're a black sheep, you consider yourself a black sheep. So many other black sheep that you're just penned in together. So the color becomes irrelevant. This is the point. We've been set and led at every step of the way. So once you get questioning back to the basic level, all there is you.
Okay, Peter, you can. Mark, can you do the unmute the idea?
That's what you have to do, though, isn't it? Take everything back to first principles in your own investigation.
To go back to what you said, there's not one iota of evidence supporting a rotating Earth. So if I cite off some evidence for a flat Earth, can you refute those for me?
Far away, yeah. If you have.
Okay, so how would you explain the rotation of the stars in the night sky?
Okay. Now, I'm going to make one brief sentence, and I've said this before elsewhere, but you wouldn't have heard it. The ultimate solution is revealed. The ultimate answer is revealed in Aristarchus, Aristarchus. Now, that's just a brief statement. I'm going to have to leave it there, but this is all tied into what we think the stars are, the sun is, the moon is, the planets are, the galaxies are.
So you're not going to answer the question?
Yes, I am. For me, okay, I'm going to answer, but again, if I don't get the answer out in 10 seconds, right, I'm trying to build the thought here. I'm trying to express it in the most succinct way as I can to someone who hasn't heard my thoughts on the matter, right? So the sun, the moon, the stars, the planet, it's all a light show. It's all one primary source being reflected out, thinking it's sort of a chandelier type dispersion. This is what's happening. And it all gets back to this crater, Aristarchus, that is the most mysterious crater we're told is on the moon, which we're told is the most mysterious object in the universe, in some places anyway. So our attention has been drawn to Aristarchus. When you dig deeper into what Aristarchus may or may not be, this is my explanation behind everything. As I say, not just the sun. Our clue is given in Polaris, right? Polaristarchus. Polaris, everything seems to revolve around. So yeah, the models are completely different. The ball Earth is a fantasy, utter fantasy.
Let's not attack each other's views, regardless if they're flat or ball Earth. Don't call it ridiculous, because
that's fine.
That just starts a slippery slope. So I really don't understand what you were saying. Was you saying that when we look out to some other stars, do you even think they're stars? Do you think what we're looking up to in the sky are stars?
No, No.
So what would you say the things I call stars are?
Okay, the clue is in the name as well, right? Star, Ri, Starkus. These are all reflected artifacts of a primary source. As I say, think in terms of a chandelier, right? Think in terms of a chandelier, right? So you have a primary light source, and then you have a dispersal pattern. If you have a rotating chandelier, this pattern is going to manifest in pretty much the same way as the stars manifest. What you have to take into account is the screen, right? So we live under a barrier, a contoured barrier of a certain dimension. And depending on that contour and dimension, and depending on what is doing the expressing, this will depend on what we see. So yeah, that's my thinking behind it.
I just want to repeat this so you know that I've understood what you're saying.
You get a picture of that?
The sky is similar to a TV screen.
We live under an electromagnetic barrier, an invisible barrier that holds back the water, saline waters beyond. When the barrier
electromagnetic barrier, as in the magnetic field or something.
You can't break it up, really. This is the natural force, right? This is the force that's emanating from our Astarchus. When they talk
like
about
a firmament kind of thing. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is that what you're saying? Like a firmament?
Yeah, the ether, sort of. This all-prevailing energy that is everywhere. The ether is as the traditional name. And it's a funny ether, especially with the old A-E connected, is an anagram of heart, which is an anagram of earth. This is the greater, deeper story that's been told to all of us. Like, so if we have ears to hear, we can get back to like children and ask the basic questions. A child can tell you they live in a flat and stationary earth.
A child can tell you they spoke to fairies. That's not indicative of reality.
Can you prove they didn't?
Can I ask?
Can you prove they did?
Well, can I ask just a quick question on what you just said? Mm-hmm. Because you think everything is related because names seem to be similar. Are you aware that there are different languages on Earth in which the words wouldn't be at all similar? So where your little analogy falls flat completely.
No, it doesn't.
And no pun intended.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, Peter, because what we're dealing with here is ideas, right? So if there's core secrets, if there's a core story, hang on. So again, I got 5 seconds with you, Peter.
Let him finish. Mute yourself.
So I'm not going to let you overrule me because I'm going to finish my thought.
If you're saying no, then tell me what ether. Tell me.
Again, I got 5 seconds with this guy.
No, because I'm responding to what you're saying. Tell me.
No, I didn't get a chance.
Tell me what ether is in Russian, and I'll shut up. Tell me what ether is in Russian. If you say no, that means that you know what the word for ether is in Russian.
No,
so
I don't speak Russian. I don't speak
Okay, so
Russian.
then you can't say no.
I tell you, I don't speak Russian.
Okay, so you can't say no, it's not that the words
let me
aren't
finish
similar in a different language.
Let me finish my answer, man, for fuck's sake. You don't even know my answer.
No, because it's false already. If the premise is false,
there you go. He's judged the matter before he's even heard it. That's
well, he can blame him. Let's be completely honest, but carry on.
Right. So we have a core idea, right? A truth behind the language of everyone on Earth. So we've heard of secret societies, right? Masonic societies are all over the Earth. So the core idea has been expressed. So no matter what the language, the idea will still be translated. Right, this is the idea. These ideas are what's the word? Transcend? It's not transcend. Whatever, go beyond language, right? Because the idea comes first.
Transcends language.
Transcend, thank you, transcend. So this is the truth of matters. This is where the power is in numbers. Hang on, one last thing. The power is in numbers and the power is in sigils, right? A picture paints
everything in education is a conspiracy theory. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely everything you hold to be true is a lie.
Okay, so let's run with that. Let's accept your claim that everything in education is a conspiracy.
Everything.
Okay. And this can be a very short answer. It doesn't need a minute to explain. It doesn't need to invoke a lot of different things. I just want to know what's the reason. Why? Why is everything a conspiracy?
Yeah, that's all you want to know. Is that all, Peter? You want to know the reason behind everything?
I want a clear answer on that. Give me a clear answer on that.
So men have spent lifetimes on trying to answer this question, and you want me to do it now? How long are you going to give me, Peter? Because all I need is one word.
There can only be one good reason. There can only be one good reason.
Peter. All I need is one word, and I will give you that word. But do you think you'll understand it? You won't understand it. But all I'll give you is one word.
Try me. Stop deflecting and try me.
I'll answer you. Aristarchus.
All right, let's move on because there's no way.
One word. And you will see that is the right answer.
Everybody else mute and let Faye ask questions.
Okay. There is a geologist in the chat who has been asking good questions and making good comments. I also wanted an invite to the chat. An actual geologist.
Ooh, I'm all tingly.
Why don't we get him in?
I agree. I'm not sure if you cut off Wonder Lady.
No, it's fine. It's just,
are you talking about Steven?
Yes, Steven.
I've sent him 2 links. I don't know what's wrong.
Oh, no.
I mean, he's making brilliant commentary.
You want to try to send him one, Mr. Snarky? See if that
okay, I'm going to be Stephen's voice from the grave. Stephen, anything you want to put forth, I will be taking note of everything.
You might want to scroll up because he's been asking really good questions. And
I know he has been asking wonderful questions.
And
he's coming from a preconceived idea.
Stephen, Shay?
Yeah. He's coming from a preconceived...
It's time for you to deal with a real geologist.
No, I can deal with anyone, Faye.
No, actually, you can barely deal with yourself.
And you're qualified how to judge that? How well do you know me, Faye? If we were on a first date now, Faye, how far would I have gone?
I wouldn't have shown up.
So again, you would have judged the matter before you had seen it, and I could have turned out to be your perfect man.
I can pretty much smell shit. I don't have to get
So just a minute. Why won't you answer my question?
I did. I gave you a one-word answer, Aristarchus.
Okay, can you clarify Aristarchus?
What's Aristarchus?
There you go. That's your first question, right?
Lord have mercy.
What's Aristarchus?
Thank you. Next, please.
Yeah, what's Aristarchus?
So you ask me a question, I give you the answer. You don't understand the answer. Now I have to explain it to you.
You're just Aristarchus. You're not explaining anything.
A word.
Please explain what you mean by Aristarchus. Thank you.
Yes.
Do I have to do that?
Not an explanation.
But you see, the thing is, I could do that.
Pete, okay. A word is not an explanation. You know the difference, right?
Okay,
I mean,
Peter, see,
we already established that you're not that intelligent, but that's not a hard concept to grasp. A word is not an explanation.
It's a word. I admit I'm a dodo, right? What about you, Pete? How much do you know compared to what there is to know? What percentage would you say?
I'd say you can't even spell idiot correct if you think you're a dodo. But
idiot correct. IOTC.
What is the reason for the conspiracy? That was the question. That's not one word.
My best, most concise answer to that is Aristarchus.
And what's Aristarchus?
Right. Now, if I was to expand on that, I could speak for ages. Right?
No, not if. Yeah, if you were to expand on that, you explain what Aristarchus is.
Okay.
Without an entire history of the world story, without more conspiracies, without invoking, without.
Okay, so I was explaining there, and you keep I was giving the answer, and you keep talking, right? Because you don't know when to pause as well. So
I know when to pause. I muted myself several times.
Okay, let me answer then.
Go ahead, but don't deflect. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay. Now, again, I could expand way further beyond this. I want to keep it brief, but in as brief as possible terms as I can. Aristarchus is the sun, it's the moon, it's the stars, it's the planets, it's the galaxies, it's the barrier itself. It is the earth beneath your feet. It is being expressed within the clouds, and it goes all the way to within you and the very core and heart of your matter or matters. Aristarchus is an anagram. Aristarchus is an anagram of Christ's aura.
Hold on, because you're talking bullshit.
Shut your mouth, you fucking
Hold
prick.
on.
You fucking prick.
No, we don't need no name calling.
Yeah, but hang on. I was all.
I'll do it this way then. I was asking you for an explanation. I'm not asking you to point out objects because I don't give a shit about objects. I was asking you for an explanation. I was asking you for a reason.
Okay,
so the reason I don't cross the street without looking is because I could be hit by a car. The reason that I don't cross the street without looking isn't a truck, a Chevrolet, a Mercedes, a BMW. That's not the reason. The reason is I could be hit by a car. So stop making silly comments and get to the reason.
I have a question for you, Pete. You know, when the sun rises and the sun sets, right? Okay, the sun's size never changes, whether it's at the horizon or it's
So you
above
fuckers
you.
muted me again. You fuckers,
What?
typical of bald fucking shitheads. And you learn nothing from them then. You learn nothing from you.
Why are you talking shit? I'm just asking you a question.
Why'd you mute me?
On this channel,
I didn't mute me, man. I come in here to have a reasonable conversation.
I didn't
Can
you.
When I'm asked for an answer and I try to expand upon it, I'm cut short by fucking ignoramuses.
Mo, can I make a quick comment? If he keeps insulting people, I'm going to leave because that's not the kind of conversation I want to have.
I just asked you a question. You don't. I don't know who muted you. Let's not mute each other. Let's try to do this civilly. Okay, I was asking if the sun's size never changes. You know, it rises in the east, sets in the west. How do you explain that the sun's size never changes, whether it be at the horizon or at solar noon? It doesn't matter what time of day it is. The sun's size.
Okay,
is always,
I'll answer that. First of all, have you done those measurements yourself?
Have I done what measurements?
The ones you talked about. Okay.
I can see it. I don't need to do a measurement. I mean, you know, obviously.
Hang on. But hang on. What do you mean you don't need to do a measurement? Visually, you can see. Okay, do you not perceive that the sun is larger at sunset and sundown as opposed to it is when it's above your head at the zenith?
I think it's a good point Dodo's making. If he can't make the argument that the Earth is flat because it looks flat, you can't necessarily make the argument that the sun rises in the same place because it looks like it does. I'm not trying to.
It's a fair assessment, anti-ordinary. I get where you're coming from.
But you do need to. You can't just visually go by these things. This is not the scientific method. You need to measure it.
I understand it's not the scientific message, but you're saying that we should go by visual things.
No.
Stephen has measured it.
We've predefined what the sun is, right? And this is our first mistake. We don't know what the sun is. But let me tell you something. I bet you very few people.
You are.
I'm a man, Faye. I mean, but I'm much more than a man. I'm in a divided state here, right?
How did you figure out that you were a man?
Okay, as man is defined, I'm not capable of creating children, right, or bearing children.
Hold on. So what you're saying is that you're going to trust a scientific definition. The definition of man is accurate, whereas everything in science you just said was a lie. Everything in education was a lie. You got your definition from being a man, from your education. So how come you're accepting that definition and you're not going to accept the definition we already have, the sun, based on solid evidence and research?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I get your point. Do I know what a fanny is or a vagina? I do. Do I have one? No, I don't. Now, there's two types of beings I've encountered in the same skin as I have, right? There's the ones who look like me and have dangly bits, right? Cockaballs. And then we have the opposite, which is you have actually literally the opposite, which is the female with the vagina.
Know that you're human.
Right? Now, what we've done is we've transcended the language. We know the idea of man and the idea of woman. I'm in the category. I don't need anyone else to clarify this for me, Peter.
I'm just really curious as to where I fall in that category.
Yeah, I was going to ask that, and I was going to ask how you transcend language.
Man includes male and female.
Language.
Man includes male and female, right?
And what's demi?
Demi?
I was born biologically male.
Are you a transgender?
Yes, I'm a trans woman.
What do you mean, trans woman? Are you male now?
No, she's a female. Obviously, look at her.
I'm transitioning to female, I guess. I don't like using that term because it's not accurate, but
hang on, how do you want me to react to that? Or I mean,
no, I was just wondering, you defined man as women as vagina and fanny.
Yeah.
So am I defined as a man in your criteria?
You have changed yourself. I mean, there's a guy out there who's tried to turn himself into a tiger, but he's still not a tiger, right?
But that's not really comparable. I understand what you're trying to say. So you're saying that I am how I was born, and changing that doesn't necessarily change how I was born.
No. And listen, let me just say to you, it's nice to meet you. I have
nice to meet you as well.
I have every respect for my fellow man, and I'm actually coming from the point of view we're all in a divided state. To say that male from female are two distinct things, no, it's the one that is divided. So I've often said this, that the perfect man within a woman's body, born a woman, we all know what that means. The perfect man is within, and the same for a man, the perfect woman is within. We are in a divided state here. So I have no judgment in those terms. But in other terms, we're born a certain way. There's no denying that. And this distinction is an innate knowledge between us, right?
So you're making the distinction in personality types.
Physically.
So by that distinction, I'm a man.
Demi, I know this means a lot to you, and I know this is a very good topic to talk about, but can we please get back to the point where he accepts the definition of being a man, while he just told us that was a lie, and we don't need to trust that, because I think
hang on, this Peter guy is twisting.
I want to really get this on topic.
Who do I need?
The topic being a flat Earth and the reason why and the reason for the conspiracy, because everything is a lie unless it lines up with his way of thinking.
I was not trying to derail the conversation. I
do have a similar question for you, Pete.
Yeah.
What makes you think that everything we've been taught up to this point in our lives is a lie? And what is your evidence for this?
Now, outside our direct experience, right, which is the things we garner from our own senses and we know to be true, we're talking about information that's coming from third parties, people outside ourselves. You've no way of clarifying that satellites are real, for instance. This is all a belief system. Now, we know in any deception, there's going to need a support structure put in there to carry the deception. Otherwise, it would be exposed easily. So this is the areas we're investigating, and very deep areas as well. I've been a flat earther since 2013. When you start going back and asking the basic questions, what are the pillars that the system, the truth is based on in terms of modern science, then you find a very shaky pillars indeed. And well, you go in your own different way then. That's all.
What would you think the pillars of our science are?
Oh, well, I mean, fundamentally, the spinning ball Earth, right? First of all, the heliocentric model is what brought us into a new paradigm. And you'll never guess who was the first to propose the heliocentric model. We don't hear about him as flat earthers. We always think in terms of Copernicus. It turns out Aristarchus of Samos, you bet you none of you knew that, was the first to put forward this idea.
Are you talking about the Greek Aristarchus?
The Greek Aristarchus of Samos, who never existed, by the way.
I don't know if he did or not. He's kind of like a Homer figure. There's a lot of people that we don't know that.
Right, but he's an unknown. Every flat earther.
I have a quick question. It's a simple yes or no. Pete,
Right.
If people ask you a question, are you in fact able to answer that question, or do you constantly need to go and answer questions that haven't been asked?
So if I'll try and answer.
It's a yes or no. It's a yes or no question, which is what I said before I asked it. It's a yes or no.
You must keep talking. Do you know how to converse? I just said to you.
That's why I started my sentence. I'm going to ask you a yes or no question.
And let me ask you a similar question then afterwards.
It is a yes. It is a yes or no question.
By the way,
can you answer a question honestly without invoking?
Yes, I can. Off you go. Ask the question.
We have several times now, and you haven't been able to do that.
So yes or no? You're asking me a yes or no question. Ask it, man. Come on.
So my question, just to kind of end that awkwardness, is if, well, you do have a moment right now to give me and everyone else listening the one piece that you find the most compelling that supports your ideas.
Oh. This is very difficult. You're talking about one piece of evidence, or the one piece
out
of
all of the evidence, which is the evidence that stands out to you the most?
I'm going to say dodo, but like Aristarchus, now the questions begin. You go and say, what do you mean by dodo? And then a whole different story unfolds, right? You have to admit, we spend years of our lives in education, right? This is a story that needs consideration.
Okay,
so I'm not going to be able to answer. Hang on. Let me just say, I'm not going to be able to answer all of your queries.
Pete, I really want to help you.
Fuck.
I want to help you. Please.
No, I don't want your help. So can I just answer?
Listen. Can you explain to us? So can you explain to us why, whether or not a certain bird exists, how does that point to the Earth being flat? If the dodo would have existed, would the Earth then be a ball?
The dodo bird never existed. And like the Christ story, right? If you take
my question was,
will you shut up, man? Will you stop interrupting me?
My question was, if the dodo bird would have existed, my question was, if the dodo bird would have existed, would the Earth then be round? Would it be a sphere?
Good question. This is
it's as stupid as invoking the fucking dodo.
I would say that Peter, he used the dodo as his pinnacle of evidence, not to say that that is everything his opinion.
But you haven't heard what I have to say about the dodo. This is what I'm saying.
You think the dodo has
someone
anything
shut
to do with the fact
will you mute this guy?
Peter,
Peter,
no, I'm not going to mute him. I don't mute people, but Peter Pete. Now, is your dodo a symbolic thing then?
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to say here. It's like the Jesus story. If you take it literally, you lose the meaning, right? In order to be able to expand upon what I have to say, you have to listen to it. If you're just hearing an idea for the first time, how are you supposed to judge it, man? But as I say,
I agree with you. And I just was asking. The dodo is
pretty complicated, right? Let me just tell you.
We can go in depth onto how you view the dodo and how this relates.
Let me give you just a teaser into how significant it actually is. Paul McCartney, right, of the Beatles, the biggest band, pop band in history, he was the dodo, right? The whole story of Sgt. Pepper's was pointing us to Alice in Wonderland, where we meet the dodo in chapter 3. Alice in Wonderland is a children's story translated throughout the earth, right? This is what, going back to Peter's other question, if there's a core idea being transmitted, then it doesn't matter what language. Stories like Alice in Wonderland, the Bible, for instance, will be translated and encoded in whatever form of Cunard you use. This is my point. The idea is always solid. This is my point.
Yeah. So Demi, please let me do this. So we killed Voldemort, and so by killing Voldemort, I think we also killed the complete flat Earth concept. Wouldn't you say so?
Voldemort, is that a Harry Potter character? What does that mean?
I don't know. You're invoking Alice in Wonderland. I thought I'd just get into
I think he was using it as a symbol. You know, he was the symbolism.
No, I'm not using this.
Mole, he can't. Mole, he can't answer.
So I get. So there's no significance in Alice in Wonderland now.
He really can't answer a simple question.
Okay, so let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. So the Masonic whole system doesn't place any value in the hidden meaning in Alice in Wonderland. Aleister Crowley, for instance, and his whole school.
But we don't believe in the occult. We're all atheists.
I mean, he's invoking more and more conspiracy theories. Yeah. When are we just going to?
I see. You have the truth in your bullshit.
No, we don't. We don't have all the truth.
We don't have the truth. We're looking for it. Yes, what Mo said.
Are you all seriously atheists?
Yes.
Yes, we are. Well, yeah.
Oh, man. Listen, Listen, don't worry about that, but you've been tricked. This is not random shit.
Who have we been tricked by? Are you talking about aliens?
Hang on.
Who have we been tricked by?
Alert! New conspiracy theory. Mole, alert! New conspiracy theory coming up right now.
I was in your position. I was an atheist. I was a spinning ball earther. I have a degree in mechanics.
That has nothing to do with atheism. Let's get back to this atheism thing.
Hang on, please. I was a spinning ball earther, a degree in mechanical engineering. I took more than an active interest in science and cosmology and all that sort of stuff, right? This is why you necessarily must be an atheist. When everything comes from nothing, you have to, and you trust the people telling you the story, then you have to be an atheist because you're being told everything comes from nothing.
Wake up! Everything didn't come from nothing.
That's what the Bible says. Is everything came from nothing.
The Bible was written in 1611, man.
Well, actually, it was written way before that, but the King James version of the Bible might have been written then.
No. The first Bible was written in 1611. You have 9/11 encoded
Holy
there.
shit!
Of course, media fakery extravaganza, and no one really died.
Mo. I hate to say this, because this started out talking to me, but I'm at a point where I can only take so much bullshit. I mean, this guy is deflecting from one.
Okay, let me ask Peter from one piece of evidence that the Earth moves beneath his feet.
Shut up and let someone else talk.
No, let me ask you that question.
No, the Earth moves beneath your feet. I'm talking to the host. You need to shut up.
Yeah.
Answer that question.
I can only take so much bullshit. If we're going
right, so one piece of evidence.
Pete, shut up,
please, Molly. Answer that, please. One piece of evidence for his spinning ball.
I'm not talking to you. I was talking to
I would like Peter to stay here, and Peter is my initial guest. I would like him to stay here. So let's do this in a civil manner. Let's not talk over each other, and if he asks you a question, you need to be specific.
If we're going to continue this, we need someone who at least can keep the conversation on topic, because this is running around after an idiot who keeps deflecting and who keeps running away from the conversation. This isn't productive.
It is, but the whole 1611 thing has got me a little bit. It kind of makes me giggle.
Let me ask Peter a question then, because he's been asking me questions.
The problem is, Mo, it might be.
Let me ask Peter a question then, because
the problem is, Mo, he's not decent enough to stay silent when other people are talking. The problem is he's going to come up with more and more interesting topics, because now he knows that people will bite and people will ask about those topics and not get back to the original subject. I think that's the problem here.
All right, so let me ask you a question, Peter. Can you give me one piece
I was talking to Mole.
You're right. We were getting nowhere with him. So,
I'm all for having a decent conversation.
I've actually never seen you so flustered that you're like, "Fuck this! I can't even do it, man." And I've seen you talk to Stephanie, and so that's saying something. He was deflecting a little bit, and he was just a little bit too nuts, even for a flat earther. Say that every
I'm not sure, but I kind of got this feeling he was trying to learn from another perspective, from our perspective, but he believes what he believes because he was convinced. But for some reason, I just got the impression that he was trying to learn a bit, or he was a troll. Those were the one of the two options.
I think the latter, but
probably the latter.
I mean, I can't believe anybody has ever.
Would you like to say something?
Yeah, I got the impression that since I was an occultist, that you tend to get very distracted by seeing patterns everywhere.
Yeah.
And in numbers and in words and things, and you get stuck on that. And that is, oddly enough, and ironically enough, a pattern that you need to get out of.
Is it like hyperperiodolia?
Yes.
Periodola?
Yes, it is. Because when you're following people like Crowley, then everything in your life has to do with symbolism and whatnot. And it can very much blind you to the reality that is. I came out of that. I used to think that I knew the truth and everybody was just being lied to and all this other stuff. I used to believe just as Pete does. And I was probably just as infuriated. So,
Mrs. Snarky, now I have a question, because actually we can still have a good conversation. So I may have made a mistake. I wanted to stay on topic. As you have been there, do you think that would have been helpful to just stay on topic and not veer off in more and more patterns, so you completely lose sight of what you're actually talking about?
Yeah, it would help to have some focus, and that's the quote unquote beauty of this kind of conspiracy theory type thinking and this pattern seeking behavior is you can't focus enough to see what definitely can't focus enough to understand science. So
how do you break that pattern, since you have been there? How does someone else break that pattern? Because that's interesting and helpful.
You have to see the result of that way of thinking. For me, I was in a bunch of occult groups, and I saw people deny the Holocaust, and I thought that was disgusting. I saw these other conspiracy theories about certain ethnic groups being spread around, and that broke me a little bit, just piece by piece, out of that way of thinking. And also, one thing that broke me out of it was the whole concept is we create our reality, therefore if we ignore the negative things, then we can have a more positive experience as human beings. And what people were doing was they were ignoring the news, and they were saying that they were pissed off because there was people talking about world events like the Syrian gas attacks. And they were actually upset because it interrupted their good vibes. And they weren't upset about the atrocities happening around the world, because apparently these were lies. They were false flags, and just because everybody's lying to you, right? So yeah, when I saw that, it kind of snapped me out of it. I saw a bunch of horrible things happening in the world, and I wanted to do something about it, instead of sticking my head up my ass and thinking that everything is this pattern that I had some kind of knowledge of. It was a very, very tough process.
Yeah, because it's frustrating talking to someone like that and not getting through, and not being able to keep them on topic. Because what I actually wanted to do is want him to be honest about his beliefs, and have him think about the answers that he's giving. But he didn't. He just completely refused to give any answers, because he just jumped from one conspiracy theory to another one without telling us why he actually believed those conspiracy theories. And that was what I think was the more interesting part. I mean, we all know about the conspiracy theories, that the YouTube's full of it.
Yeah. Can I interrupt?
Sure.
Because I actually have to leave again. But before I do, what I think the actual subject is with Flat Earth is they're using that as a type of God argument. You know, the whole "can you prove it? Can you prove it?" They're kind of like acting like overzealous atheists who want to argue something that they, you know what I mean? And we're not all scientists, and we don't all know the numbers, and we don't all know the facts. And, you know, they're doing their very best to sit there and go, it's a conspiracy, kind of like we do with the whole, like, the church is trying to control you type thing. I think it's a metaphor. Mm-hmm. I think it's not only a metaphor, but, I mean, like, we have proven the earth is round. But this is the way I think that Christians see their religion, the way flat, or like what they would call a globalist would see science. And what better way to argue for a religion is by poking holes in science, because they don't really like the natural world. They don't like the study of science because there is no evidence of God there. Now I've said what I have to say, and I have to deliver a pair of keys to an old man.
So you gotta work.
I called someone. Part of my job today was being taxi, and they left things in my car, and I have to go deliver them.
Well, that shouldn't take long. I'm sure we'll be here.
Yeah, I mean, feel free to poke hole in my theory all you want, but that's the way I'm looking at this. It's like, not that it's a vast conspiracy to throw atheists, you know, a great big fuck you, but that's what it feels like, because it seems like, okay, let's argue something that's not actually the subject that we're arguing. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's that's the way it feels. Because when he was talking about the actual story, the big story behind, like, if we finally put the Earth at the center, it sounded like God was going to come next, and then the goalpost moved.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the dodo was fucking not a real thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying
the dodo may be Jesus. Who knows?
Maybe it was.
I'm trying to wrap my head around why any of that's connected.
Yeah. I mean, I understand symbolism. I mean, but Jesus. I mean, at least pick something that's I don't know.
Oh, bye, Faye.
So I need to go as well. I just wanted to come and talk to that guy because.
All right, you get some
sleep,
my dear. No problem. You get some sleep, my dear. You get some sleep.
And I just want to say, if this guy is still watching the stream, like, I'm not going to tell you anything that's going to change your mind from this full-on crazy. I'm just being blunt. But I used to believe in all this shit. I used to believe the Earth might be flat. I also used to believe the Earth might have been hollow. I used to believe there was a massive global conspiracy. I used to believe science was a lie and history was a lie. And now I'm here with a clear understanding of reality. So just stay open-minded to learning information that does come from what they say is illegitimate sources.
Okay, Demi, can I say something to you real quick?
Of course.
I cut you off on a subject I know is extremely important to you.
It's not important to me. Trans shit is not even on my radar most of the time. I just wanted to bring it up because it's awkward because of how he defined men and women.
I'll rephrase. I cut you off on something that is personal. And I didn't do that because I disrespect anything. I did that because I wanted the guy to stay focused and to stay on topic. So if I did anything wrong there, my apologies.
No, you didn't. Don't worry. I didn't care. Okay. I didn't even notice it, to be fair.
And I have a question also, Auntie. I'm going to probably be I'm going to be DMing you. I'm going to be DMing you probably in the next few days and see when you might be available for me to interview. Okay?
Okay. Yeah, that sounds fun.
Okay, cool.
I'm down. I'm free quite often.
All right. Awesome. I'll just I'll try to do it earlier in the, I mean, I know you stay up fairly late, but I'll try to do it earlier in the afternoon, like 4 or 5 my time would be like 11 or 12 your time. That way it's not too late at night for you. Okay?
All right. Well, we'll have to talk in the DMs, but thank you for having me on your channel.
Oh, anytime. Bye.
Nice seeing you, Debbie.
Bye, Demi. Bye.
Take care.
Don't do anything I would do. You might get arrested.
So one thing that I would like to say that when I was into the occult, the flat earth thing was a red flag for me. It was one of the things that kind of got me out of it, to be honest, because it was just something that was so ridiculous that I couldn't buy it. It didn't explain anything. It didn't have a model. And it seemed convoluted, even though I was believing in all this we create the reality kind of stuff. It was a lot of cognitive dissonance there.
Right.
But the main thing that I thought about the nature of reality was that it was something that was created by consciousness. To be more specific, a collective consciousness. and which we had to, it was our spiritual duty to seek within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And this was this quote unquote ultimate truth that we had to transcend to. And that's why transcendence was such a big topic, I think, today too.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I asked Peter, but I have an idea. It's a little different than my normal atheism shtick, but I think it's a very valid video to make. I would like to do a video, and it's very personal to me, as if a lot of you know me. I want to make a video on the opioid epidemic and the history of opiate abuse in America.
Oh, wow.
And what do you think of that as a video topic? Do you think that'd be a pretty interesting video? I thought it would.
And it's pertinent right now.
Yeah, I mean, for those that say there's no opiate epidemic, they're fucking either blind or fucking lying to themselves.
People that say this?
Yeah, there are people that say this.
Oh, my mind just gets blown every day by this stuff. I love that idea, and I think you totally should do it.
Yeah. I've got some source material. I've already got some source material written down. I just gotta get a script together, and I got all kinds of pictures of different, opiate related things. So it shouldn't be that hard of a video to do. Really, all I got to do is record a narrative and then add a picture here and there, and voila.
Great. I look forward to seeing it.
Oh, thank you.
Can I pitch another idea?
Sure.
Mr. Snarky, do you already have a video up on your previous position as in the entire occult way of thinking that you were in?
Sort of, kind of. I've been critical of some of the past statements that I've made, and just kind of the overall statements that other people make that I used to ascribe to.
Because you guys have two channels. Wouldn't it be a good thing to have Matt interview you about that, about how you got into it, what you experienced while you were into this, and how you got out of this? Because I think that would be extremely interesting conversation, and it could be helpful for a lot of YouTubers, because every now and again we will encounter people who are in that position, and it would give us maybe some tools how to deal with those people. So as I said, you have two channels to pick from to do the video on, or maybe even mirror them on both.
Yeah.
I think that should be a very interesting video, and I know that Matt won't have a problem fleshing out everything he needs to know and he needs to ask. So
yeah, that
would be cool.
Yeah. In fact, a few months ago when I first started, that was one of the ideas that I had, because I didn't really know how to go about presenting what my position was. So yeah, that would be a brilliant way to do that. Welcome back, Faye.
Faye.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'd really like to see that, because I haven't seen much, and I also have to say that I haven't looked for it, because I know far too little about the subject to even be able to assess who would be a good source of information. And seeing what you guys do, I think you would be a very, very good source of information. And I know that Matt would be someone who could actually flesh that out unless there's any poop rituals in
no poop rituals. That didn't drink urine or dance or anything like that.
No.
But I did wave around a little dagger and a wand and stuff. I had like a fire wand and an air wand and all this junk, but really.
Okay, now you absolutely need to make the video and show all of the props that you have, because now
Yeah, I've shown some of them when I was talking to Demi, and I think I tried to do that when I was on Stag's channel, but we got derailed with music. But yeah, I'll definitely look into that, because it's, like you said, it's something that does come up. It's a growing community, the occult.
Mm-hmm.
And so as people are looking for answers, and mainly with the occult practice, what it is about is an exercise in psychology more than anything else, but they conflate it into something that is actual reality and metaphysics.
Right.
Okay, and I have another question, because I've been talking to someone about your upcoming talk with SJ. If people want to pitch you stuff they have on her regarding the topic that you're going to be talking about, would you be interested in me forwarding them to you?
Sure, I'll take a look at whatever people have to provide.
Yeah, it's a follower of mine on Twitter, and she's been caught up with Stephanie a lot because of what she did to me. She's one of my longtime followers and has followed me through all the accounts when I got suspended. So, and there might be a little hatred at the base of all of this, but she can also give you certain information about her. So I'll ask her if she wants to contact you on Twitter.
Great, I appreciate that. Any insight that I can have into her position would be very helpful, because then I could better prepare for it and things. One thing I do want to avoid is trying like the emotional arguments, and also I don't want it to be like a personal attack kind of thing. I do want to talk about the issue.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's an important issue to me, it's very important to me.
Yeah,
I was very honored to be asked to debate the issue. But I also am pretty nervous. So like I said, any insights I can get will be very helpful. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. And you already watched the talk she had with Tony?
I did. Wow.
Okay.
I mean, for the most part, it was pretty civil conversation.
I'd say so.
So that was very interesting to see. I thought it was going to be a bloodbath, and it wasn't. So
No.
pleasantly surprised.
No.
But yeah, that was.
Yeah, what I took away from that is that at the end I asked if questions from the audience would be allowed, or if we would do that in a separate stream, and she agreed to that. And the moment we got off air, she confused me. She accused me of taking over the conversation and asking my questions, when it was obvious that I was just reading the questions from the chat. And so expect a lot of dishonesty and maybe some backlash if you have a strong position and you're able to defend it.
Yeah, I do.
That's all I can say.
And as far as like if I do get shut down by it, it just makes her look bad, not me. Like I can make another. I can figure it out. So
you can't make it look worse than it already is.
Yeah. So I'm not really. I don't know. Maybe I should be concerned, but I'm just not. My main concern is getting the audience to listen to the argument and come to a good conclusion on the issue, because it's a rights issue, a human rights issue.
Yeah, but so the reason why I say this is because 3 people have tried to have a decent conversation with her and ended up getting suspended multiple times because she's rallying people, and just people will just report, and the sheer amount of reports, not even the tweets they're reporting, but the sheer amount of reports will get you suspended. Tony was one, Professor Flynn, and me, and there are more that have been targeted by her.
He's got me suspended a couple times. Heleno Henzo, or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah,
I'm talking about. Yeah, he's gotten me 3 or 4 12-hour timeouts.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, like,
and he keeps I usually block him, but this time he followed me. I'm just like, fuck it. I left him on there, and he hasn't bothered me. I think that he's kind of like, if you've ever been to jail, they tell you don't feed the bears, like that. And like I've noticed, as long as I don't feed him anything, then there's nothing he has to say to me.
yeah.
He keeps following me as well, and the only thing that I tweet to him is when are we going to have a live conversation, because he has a YouTube channel. I want to have a talk with this guy. And not on Twitter, because I know for a fact that if you get into an argument with him on Twitter, I don't know how he does it. Maybe because he has this vast amount of suck accounts, but he'll get people suspended, and he'll get them suspended fairly quickly as well.
That's awful. Is there any way that I could I don't know, kind of brace myself or prepare for the backlash?
If there's going to be any backlash, I'd say if it's not that important, just don't respond to it, and you'll still be safe. Keep it to YouTube and maybe not to Twitter.
Yeah.
Because Stephanie has tried to get my my YouTube account taken down as well, and she went to great lengths because she got the atheist experience involved in it, so they would make strikes against my channel. The fact that I got full permission and that I was in contact with John Iacoletti about the clip that I have on my YouTube channel, and so John Iacoletti knew what I added to the clip, and what was basically the rest was basically just the atheist experience. But she wanted me to police the comments. And she wanted me to remove every single comment that could be insulting to her or could be threatening. So there were no threats made in the comments, but there were a lot of insulting comments. And I told her, I told her if those comments bother you, then report them yourself. You have the ability to report those people yourself. You can do that. And if you have a valid case, I will back you up.
Yeah.
But then she came to me and said, well, someone is actively saying that people should kill me. And is saying that someone should do it, someone in the Tampa area. So I checked my comments, and it wasn't on my channel at all. It wasn't someone else's channel. So the comment did exist, but she used that comment. She went to the atheist experience and said, well, listen, this is a comment that was made on his channel, and he's refusing to remove it. So that's when John Iacoletti contacted me and said, hey, if that's a comment, you need to remove that because that's a physical threat, and we need to deal with that in the proper way and report this guy and maybe get the authorities involved. And I told him, it's not on my channel.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do. I can report it, but there's nothing I can do. It's not my channel. But Stephanie, up until today, at certain points will make the same claim that threat was on my channel. She'll just lie about it.
Well, that is an awful threat. So
yeah,
not on you're not responsible for it. So
no, and I would have taken action.
Yeah, because that's an atrocious thing to say.
Yeah.
So.
But I'm also not going to police my comments if someone on there calls her an idiot or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, we have freedom of speech. If they want to call her an idiot, they can call her an idiot. I mean, those are just words. But yeah, she can't take criticism. I'm blocked on her channel. I can't post anything on her channel anymore because I called her out on a couple of things, and and turns out that I was correct. So yeah, then you get blocked.
Well, I've seen her talk to other people and things like that, where it was kind of sort of civil. But I've also heard a lot of stuff, and I've seen her in the live chats and stuff. I think we may have interacted a few times, but I really don't know her very well.
The main reason that got me suspended twice was the last video I did with her. I know for a fact that a reporter is working on a piece on her and is gathering tweets and is gathering information about her everywhere she can, because she wants to expose this, because she wants Stephanie removed from the University of Tampa.
Oh, wow.
So what I did is I DM'd Stephanie and I told her that she needs to be a little bit more careful with what she tweets, because she will tweet something, people will point out how despicable the tweet is, and then she will delete the tweet and say, well, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
So I warned her, be a little bit more careful. If there's something you want to tweet out, think about it, whether or not that's a good thing to do. And then she went on her timeline and told people that I was threatening her.
Oh, wow.
Because I was in cahoots with the reporter.
Wow.
And so I called her out in a live stream, and that's the last one that I did on my channel with her. And I confronted her. I said, I was warning you. How can this be a threat? If you walk down the street and I see a truck coming and I scream, Stephanie, get out of the way because you're going to be hit by a truck, is that me threatening you to kill you with a truck, or is that me warning you? I mean, I can't tell the difference now.
Well, I've heard her say in live chats that she's had people, atheists, come to her place of work, the university, and basically stalk her and stuff.
Last year, and everyone knows this, so I can just say the name because she'll own up to it, and I know why she will own up to it. Atheist girl tagged in the university in a conversation. No one realized that she had tagged in the university, but that was also a very controversial conversation. And what happened next is that the University of Tampa noticed this conversation, and Stephanie had to report to the dean and basically got torn a new asshole. And in a way that loud that people in the hall could hear every single word of the conversation. And one of the people standing in the hall contacted me and said, hey, do you know Stephanie got in trouble? This and this happened. And she was told to remove her name from Twitter. She was told to never mention that where she worked, because that was something that she had disclosed herself. And she was told to not keep saying stuff that could lead people to her place of work.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea anyway, right?
Yes, but now her name is back on the same Twitter account. She's still advocating her job. She's still telling people pretty much, she's feeding people enough information. So if you Google Stephanie J. Thomason, the first thing that pops up is University of Tampa. I mean, Google works.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, hey, guys.
Yeah.
I got to cook my son's supper, so I probably ought to wrap up. What time is Godless Engineer or Godless Island's interview with Cap starting?
I think he's already there, actually.
Okay. All right. I'm going to try to watch that while I cook some supper.
All right.
I would like to thank you all for coming. And I think Wednesday I'm interviewing Brand from the Geek Room at 6 Central. So if you're interested, come and check it out. And I want to thank you again for coming, Peter. As always, you know you're always welcome. You too, Miss Snarky.
Sorry, it went into a chaos.
Oh, that's okay. Things devolve. They do that sometimes. Our interview went well, and just after that, it devolved. It happens.
Yeah.
But you guys,
it's all the fault of the fall of man. You can't stop that. You already know that.
I'm sure that there will be a stream later on for all of us to hop on to. It's Saturday night. We can't expect much less. So,
yeah.
You all have a lovely night, and I will talk to you all later. Good night.
Thanks for having all of us.